LA is probably one of the most dangerous places for rappers. Do you believe that's true?
Yeah, because, I mean, everybody be checking in. That's your favorite thing to do, check in with somebody that's gonna rob your stupid ass.
Well, it's a lot of people that have been popping up saying that, you know, rappers should check in.
LA done killed more rappers than any city.
Death to all Crips and Bloods. Death to all GDs and BDs. May they all die like King Von. May they all die like Drakeo the Ruler. Death to all gangbangers. Death to all gangbangers. We in Crips, boom, 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 boom. We in Bloods.
Gangbanging has always been a fascinating topic. It's like this gritty world that some people are drawn to despite all the terrible things that go down. We've all heard about how dangerous gang life can be and the wild things they get involved in, but there's something they do that just makes you scratch your head, especially when it comes to rappers. It's called checking in. Now, checking in basically means that when someone, usually a rapper or a celebrity, travels to a new city, especially one with a heavy gang presence, they're supposed to reach out to a local gang on a major street figure to get their blessing and protection while they're in town. In return, these gangs or street figures might ask for money, a feature on a track for one of their local artists, business hookups, or any number of favors.
You better check in, Magic, see I'm gangster, Crip. Straight up, Crip, straight up, Crip.
Some people see checking in as just a show of respect, a way of saying, hey, I'm in your territory, so let's be cool. But others see it as straight up extortion because there are usually consequences if you don't check in. If it was all about respect, there wouldn't be any threats or consequences, right? That's why opinions are split. Some celebrities, when they move through gang-heavy cities like LA, will choose to align themselves with gangs to stay safe and avoid any trouble from other gangs. They feel like it's a good insurance policy, so to speak. But not every rapper feels that way. Some just don't care about this whole checking in business and refuse to play by those rules. It's even worse when the gangs force rappers to check in when they don't have any connection or know anything about them. That's just plain extortion, especially when they'd be putting these rappers in dangerous positions, as the gang they're checking in with would probably have a few wars going on. So it's not surprising seeing some rappers go against this. In fact, some rappers have even made these gangs regret ever telling them to check in. Let's get into a few examples. First up, we've got Waka Flocka Flame. Back in 2020, Waka was shooting a music video with Gucci Mane, just doing his thing, when suddenly this dude shows up on the set and starts yelling all sorts of crazy stuff at him.
What's happening? You're the same beach down there, bro. What's happening? I'm here. What's happening? Man, I'm here, bro. I'm not studying. I'm Gucci, you cool. We talking about.
Now, Waka had apparently stepped on some toes because some locals weren't too thrilled about him being in their neighborhood. There's actually a video shot by worldstarhiphop.com where you can see this guy walking up to the video shoot, just hurling insults at Waka Flocka. It turns out these two had some beef in the past, and the guy wasn't happy about seeing Waka on his turf. If you watch the video, you'll notice the dudes rolling up on Waka are all rocking the Crips signature blue, making it pretty clear where their affiliations lie. Things got heated fast, and for a moment, it looked like Waka and the guy were about to throw down right there on the set. But thankfully, nothing major went down and it didn't turn into a full-blown fight. Still, after that whole incident, Waka wasn't bothered at all. He didn't even flinch.
Hey, two-step with me. And I ain't talking about uncle, but shout out to my fucking uncles. Got money made backs like Trump. Hey, two-step, two. Nah, man, we chillin', man. This is anti-social video shoot. Tongue to the man. Goonie dog, man. Shout out to the fucking I just got. They don't see him trying to fight me with a camera phone, man.
But that didn't stop those Crip guys. They kept coming after Waka, going off on him multiple times after that.
You got the black eye on there. You feel me? This the black eye I put on him, nigga. I put the black eye on the bitch. You feel me? You see it? Waka Flocka, he's a bitch. You feel me? I don't pay for your shit, but I tie it up, bitch. This what I do, ho. You don't get no respect in my hood, boy.
And then there was the time Spiderlock and some Crips members went after Lil Wayne's security.
What happened? What's happening?
Gonna get burned.
Spider Loc said, what's happening?
It's Crip. Food chain, Coach Crip.
It all started when Lil Wayne was featured on Shawty Lowe's They Know remix, and Lil Wayne apparently took a shot at the Crips.
And he had a lyric that said, "Suwu gang, if you ain't with that, you from the food chain." Thinking about school, the ocean, and you know what you find in the ocean. I thought he was sneak dissing.
According to Spiderlock, Lil Wayne came over to Spiderlock's location where he had a studio to shoot a music video with T-Pain. Instead of Spiderlock getting the opportunity to talk with Lil Wayne one-on-one to find out if the song was a diss or not, Spiderlock ended up being with a large group of individuals.
He came to shoot a video with T-Pain, and instead of me getting an opportunity to approach him one-on-one, I ended up being with a large group of individuals.
Things were about to get rough because they intended to attack Lil Wayne's cars and security, but thankfully they heard a police siren and dispersed.
We encountered the SUVs. We kind of approached the SUVs with intentions to do quite a few things. I think we heard one siren off in the distance, and that's all it took. We was out of there.
And this wasn't the only time Crips members would try to threaten Lil Wayne.
Black Diamond. G, close that door, G.
Hey, Wayne. Hey, Wayne. Wayne. What's up, I'm Big Magic, cuz. What's up? Hey, you better check in, Magic, say I'm gangster, Crip. Straight up, Crip, straight up. Crip, sure.
Then there are folks like MC Hammer who even managed to make a Crip apologize to him. It might surprise some people because MC Hammer doesn't exactly have that tough guy image, but believe it or not, Hammer was tougher than some of these so-called gangsters. For example, in 2022, MC Hammer started trending on X, formerly known as Twitter, because of a viral photo featuring Big Sky, Suge Knight, Snoop Dogg, Tupac, and Hammer at the '96 Grammys. They were all decked out in their '90s finest. Hammer stood on the far right, arms neatly crossed behind his back, smiling while everyone else had serious, mean-mugging expressions. The tweet accompanying the photo read, "I don't think I've ever seen anyone more out of place than Hammer was in this photo, lol." But Twitter wasn't having it. They quickly set the record straight about the Oakland legend, making it clear that Hammer, despite his flashy pants, pop superstardom, and ability to win over your mom, was not someone to be underestimated. The Twitter explosion showed the vast difference between what hip-hop insiders know about MC Hammer and what mainstream pop culture thinks it knows about him. Despite Hammer's image as a pop icon who shuffled across stages and sold sneakers and Taco Bell in commercials, stories of his more streetwise traits have been circulating in both the East Bay and the wider hip-hop community for years. For those who aren't in the know, let's talk about the times the Crips tried to mess with Hammer. Benito, MC Hammer's vocalist, once shared a story about how Hammer clashed with Michael Concepcion, one of the original founding members of the LA Crips street gang. Michael lost his legs in a gang shooting in 1977 when he was 21, so he's been in a wheelchair ever since. According to Benito, they had just finished an event and were getting ready to hop into their vans and head back to their hotel when they spotted Michael in his wheelchair, surrounded by about 4 Crips. They were wondering why gang members were hanging around when Michael called out to Hammer saying he wanted to talk to him. Michael told Hammer that since they were in LA and anything could happen, Hammer should call on him for protection. Hammer, taken back, asked why he would need protection when he had 12 bodyguards who were no small fries themselves. Some of them were even killers. Obviously, Hammer didn't feel the need for Michael's protection.
It's this dude in his wheelchair and about 4 or 5 dudes with him, hanging out. I know they Crips because my cousins all Crips in LA. So I'm like, there's some gangbangers. What they doing out here? You're like, hey, I want to holler at you for a minute, Hammer.
But Michael kept insisting, saying that if Hammer didn't hire him, something could happen to him and he should watch his back. It was like Michael was threatening Hammer. At this point, Hammer got mad. They started exchanging heated words, and Hammer's bodyguards were ready to take the gang members out, but Hammer stopped them. He then told Michael that all he had to do was make one phone call and all the nonsense would go away. True to his word, Michael came back the next morning to apologize to Hammer.
Our people looking like, yeah, I'm waiting for you to move. Hammer, hey, what's up? He said, hey man, it's like this. I'll make one phone call and all this will go away. I talked to you for a minute and Hammer said, what's up, man? He said, man, I apologize for the thing. I didn't know, the people you knew and whatever, this and that. And I apologize for what I did, brother. It's all good. We cool. We good. Hammer's like, yeah, it's all right.
Apparently, Hammer had even bigger connections that were more powerful and dangerous than Michael and his crew. From that point on, there were no problems between Hammer and Michael or the Crips. And then there's Charleston White, who never holds back when it comes to speaking his mind. Charleston has been very vocal about refusing to check in with any gang. He's even said in interviews that Los Angeles has claimed more rappers' lives than any other city in America, and a lot of those deaths come from silly stuff like not checking in.
LA done killed more rappers than any city in America. LA is known for killing rappers. Rappers should run from LA.
He's not shy about calling out the craziness of the whole checking in concept, making it clear that he thinks it's just a way for these gangs to exert control and intimidate people.
I'm a black man in America, and I swear up and down as a black man that the white man is holding me down. His systematic institutional racism is keeping me down. His mass incarceration. When I flip the coin over, I got a nigga doing the same thing to me. I got a nigga saying, if I come to this white man's city that he live in, I gotta come check in.
Because of his outspoken criticism, a lot of gang members can't stand him. They've even gone so far as to ban him from entering LA. But if you know Charleston White, you know that didn't stop him one bit. Instead, he doubled down, going on social media live streams, throwing insults, and calling them out even more aggressively.
Death to all Crips and Bloods. Death to all GDs and BDs. May they all die like King Von. May they all die like Drakeo the Ruler. Death to all gangbangers. Death to all gangbangers. We in Crips, boom, 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 boom. We in Bloods.
You can't find me. Yeah, they say that I can't come to LA. I'm in LA kicking my feet up. Looking out the pretty window right there.
Next up is the basketball legend Shaquille O'Neal. Now, Shaq was a beast on the court and is still considered one of the greatest NBA players of all time. Back in the summer of '96, when Shaq was a free agent after leaving the Orlando Magic, everyone was wondering where he'd go next. It didn't take long before he signed a massive 7-year deal worth $120 million with the Los Angeles Lakers. This move was a game changer, and Shaq didn't just have success, he dominated. From 2000 to 2002, he led the Lakers to 3 straight NBA championships and was named the Finals MVP each time. But what many people don't know is that during his time in LA, Shaq actually got tight with a notorious gang known as the Main Street Mafia Crips. The Main Street Mafia Crips are based on the east side of South Central LA, and they're known for making serious money moves. Shaq got especially close to a high-ranking member named Ladell Rose, aka Del Dog. Del Dog was a hustler through and through. He had his hands in multiple businesses, owned homes and flashy cars, and even had the first Rolls-Royce in South Central. He was also deep in the entertainment world, rubbing shoulders with big names like Ice Cube, Snoop Dogg, and Steve Harvey.
You go to a guy like Dale when you got a problem and say, look, man, I'm having a problem. I can't get this done because this guy's over here doing this. I can't get this done because that guy's doing that.
Shaq and Del Dog, along with other Main Street members, formed a strong bond. Shaq got protection and street credibility, while Main Street got business deals and industry connections through him. For a while, things were smooth. Shaq was reaping the benefits of his association with Main Street, and the gang was cashing in too. But then things started to go south. Shaq and his business partner, Mark Stevens, owned a record label called Deja, and they had an agreement with a Main Street member named Robert Ross, also known as Stutterbox. The deal was that Stutterbox would get a 50% cut of the profits for every artist he brought to the label. Stutterbox claimed he brought Ray J to the label, but he got cut out of the deal, which created bad blood between him and Shaq. While Shaq remained cool with Del Dog and other Main Street members, Stutterbox was still feeling some type of way and wanted what he thought was his due, so he decided to blackmail Shaq. Apparently, Shaq had been bringing women to Stutterbox's house and having relations with them, all while he was still married to his wife, Shawnee. Stutterbox had security cameras all over his place and claimed to have caught Shaq in the act on tape in July of 2007. He threatened to release the footage unless Shaq paid up. Things escalated quickly. On February 11th, 2008, Del Dog and some other Main Street members cornered Stutterbox at a Pink Dot convenience store on Sunset Boulevard in Hollywood. They rolled up on him, guns drawn, and forced their way into his Rolls-Royce. tapes. They made him drive to Del Dog's house in South Central, and once there, Del Dog pistol whipped him, demanding the tape and $100,000. Stutterbox promised to get the tape and bring it back to them, but the crew wasn't taking any chances. They took his Rolex, his diamond chain, his earrings, and $15,000 in cash before letting him go. After the beatdown, Stutterbox went straight to the police. He showed up at the 77th Street Division station with a bloody face and torn up clothes, telling the cops everything that had gone down. As a result, all 7 of the Main Street guys were hit with charges for robbery, kidnapping, assault, and conspiracy. Stutterbox didn't just stop at reporting the attack. He went all in, implicating Shaq by claiming that Del Dog and the other Main Street guys were acting on Shaq's orders. He even told investigators that when he and Shaq were on better terms, Shaq had asked him and his crew to do all kinds of dirty work. He mentioned some pretty wild stuff, like Shaq allegedly wanting them to kill a member of the downtown gangster Crips because this guy had disrespected Shaq in front of his wife Shawnee. And that wasn't all. Shutterbox claimed Shaq also wanted them to kill a woman he had once gotten pregnant. And if that wasn't enough, Stutterbox even said Shaq asked them to break an NBA player's shooting arm. He basically painted a picture of Shaq as this puppet master pulling strings behind the scenes, asking for some really extreme favors. At that time, Shaq and Shawnee were going through a messy divorce, and things were getting even more complicated. Stutterbox claimed he started seeing Shawnee romantically, and Shaq found out because he had hired a private investigator to follow them. This, according to Stutterbox, only fueled Shaq's anger towards him and might have been the reason Shaq allegedly wanted him kidnapped and assaulted. But when all this came to light, both Shaq and his business partner, Mark Stevens, denied knowing anything about the attacks. Shaq insisted that while he had met a few Main Street members during community events like toy drives in South Central, he didn't have any deep personal connections with them. Meanwhile, the FBI was already building a case against the Main Street Mafia Crips. They had wiretaps on Del Dog's phone and heard him talking to Mark about how Stutterbox had flipped and was now cooperating with the cops. They also pulled down phone records showing multiple calls between Mark and Del Dog around the time of the assault on Stutterbox. Despite all this, neither Shaq nor Mark were ever charged in connection with the case. Stutterbox later admitted to the investigators that he was bluffing about having a tape of Shaq cheating. He explained that the security camera at his house only recorded in cycles, and the footage he claimed to have no longer existed. During the trial, Stutterbox took the stand against the other Main Street members, detailing the attack on him, but the defense didn't waste any time after going after his credibility. They brought up his lengthy criminal record and labeled him a liar, using his bogus claim about the tape as proof that he couldn't be trusted. In the end, Del Dog and the others were found not guilty of all charges. Fast forward to July 2011, Stutterbox decided to sue Shaq for failing to honor what he called an oral contract and for allegedly having him assaulted. But the lawsuit didn't go anywhere. It got dismissed because he filed it after the statute of limitations had expired. Things took another turn on July 8, 2015, when Del Dog was tragically shot and killed around 11:30 p.m. near the intersection of Broadway and Century Boulevard. I won't dive into all the details, but I will say this: it wasn't gang-related, and Del Dog apparently knew the person who shot him. As for Stutterbox, he's still around and occasionally pops up online, going back and forth with people about the case. He seems to enjoy keeping the drama alive, always ready to throw in his 2 cents about what went down. Another wild story involves Bizzy Bone from the iconic group Bone Thugs-n-Harmony. It all went down on Monday, January 5th, 2009, when Bizzy decided to visit the Universal Studios Hollywood theme park. He was staying at the Universal City Hilton Hotel, soaking up the vibes and enjoying his time there. Later that night, he felt like grabbing a drink, so he headed over to a nearby spot called the Saddle Ranch, a restaurant and bar that's known for its lively atmosphere. While he was there, he caught the attention of 2 women who seemed pretty interested in him. One of the women walked up to him and asked for a picture, which kicked off a conversation between the two. Meanwhile, the other woman was standing a few feet away, busy on her cell phone. Things seemed pretty chill at first. The group eventually decided to head back to Bizzy's hotel room to keep the party going. They were drinking, smoking, and having a good time. But one of the women kept stepping out of the room to take phone calls, which made Bizzy feel a bit uneasy. However, the other woman reassured him that everything was fine, so he tried to relax. About 45 minutes later, though, things took a dark turn. A group of men suddenly barged into Bizzy's hotel room. Before he even knew what was happening, they started beating him, choking him, and robbing him of $35,000 worth of jewelry. The whole thing was a setup from the start. After they got what they wanted, the group fled the scene, leaving Bizzy bruised and shaken. He managed to stumble out of his room and went to get help. Fortunately, the hotel had a solid surveillance system, and investigators were able to get footage of the men and their getaway vehicle. Just 5 days later, on January 10th, the car was pulled over and the driver was arrested. His name was Marlo Jones, but on the streets he was known as Bow Wow, a reputable member of the Grape Street Crips. Ironically, at the time of his arrest, Bow Wow was actually working for a gang intervention program called Unity 1, trying to reduce gang violence in the community. He even collaborated with USC football coach Pete Carroll on a gang reduction program. The investigators didn't stop there. They continued digging and soon arrested 3 more Grape Street members, Van Quan Knott, also known as V, Ricky Pearson, known as Lil BK, and Marquise Goss, who went by Cheese. To make matters worse for these guys, investigators found photos of them wearing Bizzy's stolen jewelry, his chain, watch, ring, and bracelet. With that kind of evidence, it wasn't long before all of them pleaded guilty. The sentences were pretty hefty. Bow Wow got 12 years, Cheese received 6 years, Van Quan got 11 years, and Lil BK was hit with 19 years in prison. But it's not just LA where checking in is a thing. It's a practice in many major cities, and Detroit, Michigan is no exception. In Detroit, a guy named Trick has made a name for himself enforcing this rule. If you're an artist and you're coming to Detroit, you better check in or you might find yourself in trouble. Rappers like Young Berg, Styles P, Jadakiss, and Trick Daddy have all faced the consequences of not checking in. They've been assaulted or robbed when they came to the city without giving the heads up. One notable incident happened in 2012 when Rick Ross's tour bus got robbed by a group of armed men. Then in 2014, Rick Ross was denied entry into a venue he was supposed to perform at because he violated Trick's no-fly zone policy.
We had Rick Ross right outside here tonight at about 11 o'clock. When he was pulling up to come into Shane Park, he was met by 100 individuals outside. We have tried to pull every resource together and ask him to come back. He is in fear of his life.
Trick's reasoning behind this policy is that he wants artists and record labels to contribute to Detroit's local music scene. He's not about to let them come in, make money off the city, and give nothing back in return.